Right, so we looked at some movable chords then, simple basic movable shapes. Let's take the D one, and we said that, as you know, that's a chord of D. And if you just move in the three strings, top three strings only, therefore that's a D sharp, E flat, there's an E, there's an F, there's an F sharp, there's a G, etc. So I think we looked at it from the point of view of changing quickly from a G chord to a D chord, and we said you could actually do it like that. There's a G and there's a D. So a very, very quick change between G and D if you needed it. I think we looked at that Bob Dylan riff where we were sort of... So it's a D and F, G, F, D. F, G, F, D. Just a simple movable chord. We looked at the C7 shape, which moves very, very well on the guitar. All the 4-inch side strings are covered. So absolutely usable, this one. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, etc. Anywhere you want it on the neck. Takes its name from the note under your third finger or the note under your first finger, both the same note. They're the root notes of that chord. We looked at E shapes being movable, where we played an E shape, conventional fingering, and it sounds quite nice again repeated on these frets, 6 and 7, which gives you a sort of hybrid E come A chord, and again 2 frets up gives you a kind of strange B chord. Quite popular in sort of folk and acoustic stuff. And we said that you could do the same thing if you played the E with those 3 fingers like you were going to be doing with a barré chord. And instead of making a barré, just fret the bottom string only so that you're just reaching over for that bass note. You get some nice chords on those frets again. So on the B note there, whoops, there he is, B chord there, and A there, and E there. F sharp works quite well as well. G does. C a little bit. It's a little bit discordant to C, but they're all quite useful, you know. Sort of a. I think Joni Mitchell used these a lot. That kind of thing. We looked at an E chord in this position. We started off looking at an E chord in this position where we said that this was a chord of E where I'm covering the 4th, 3rd and 2nd string with 1 finger because it's a partial chord from that barré chord position. I'm just taking those 3 strings and forgetting those notes under the barré there. And instead of playing those notes under the barré, I do this with my 3rd finger. I make the bass note there on the 5th string, which gives a lovely chord. And that, if you cover the 5th string as well with your 1st finger, you can do a nice roll onto that bass string like that. Gives you a really nice E chord, and of course because it's an E chord you've got the bottom strings open and useful if you need it. So, and we said that 3rd finger can walk from that string to that string to that string as well. So the 5th, the 4th and the 3rd there. Quite useful. Therefore, if that's an E, that's a D, that's a C, that's a B flat, okay, there's an A. If you came right down to its logical conclusion and left those 3 open and hammered that, that would be a G. And as you can see, if I did that finger, it is a G. You know. We looked at playing a G chord just with 1 finger, very, very useful when you're playing G quickly, very, very useful. I do this all the time. You just fret your root note there on the G, on the 3rd fret of the bottom string. The inside of that finger will naturally mute the 5th string. If you just sort of allow the finger to move slightly sideways, you can mute the 5th string, which you don't want, and you get the inside 3 strings which are a G chord anyway. And as long as you don't play the top string, you've got a perfectly useful G that you can get to very, very quickly. So if I was playing, for instance, A's and G's, you know, sort of the world's fastest chord changes, really. You can't get a lot quicker than that, you know. So, you know, very useful, that kind of thing. And then we looked at playing a whole 12 bar using partial chords. And the first one we started with was an A, where we're playing the 5th string, 4th string and 3rd string only from that one finger A chord. And we're doing this with our 3rd finger. We're walking it around the bass note. So we're playing the chord first, 5th string. We're playing the 5th string again, but this time we're fretting it at the C sharp on the 4th fret. So we get that chord. We release that finger now and play the chord again, but now only these 2 strings, the 4th and the 3rd. And then we fret again at the 4th fret on the 4th string. So we get that partial chord. So we've got these 4 chords. And we just walk them round and round. You can do any strumming pattern you like, really, or just straight down, whatever you like. You can do the same thing on a D chord. Just take a 4D there and do the walk with your little finger. So in this case, your little finger's going to go from, you're playing the 4th string first, then the 4th string again with your little finger on the 4th fret, then the 3rd string, and then the 3rd string again with your little finger again on the 4th fret. So you get. And back to A. And then we said you can do the same thing on an E chord, and we looked at this. You think about this in this way. There's an E chord. Right? If you took that finger away and only played the bottom 3 strings, you've still got an E chord, as long as you don't hit the 3rd string, which would now be an E minor, of course. But we don't want an E minor, we want an E. So we hit the bottom 3 strings only. Therefore, if we replace those 2 fingers with just one finger and held both strings, we've still got the same thing, an E chord. And that allows us to do the same thing with that 3rd finger. We can walk it around that pattern again by going bottom string, 4th fret, bottom string, 5th string, 4th fret, 5th string. So, and back to A. So a whole 12 bar then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And classic rock and roll. You might want to go a fair bit slower than that when you're learning that,